Hi, I'm Ange Mack. Welcome to Operation Freedom 2, a solution-oriented, fun, and friendly show focused on our veterans' quality of life. This is our very first show with this new programming, and I want to introduce Jinnae Monroe, who is going to be co-hosting this show with me and helping me introduce this to our community. I'm very excited to have her on board. Jinnae, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and I'm excited to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you working with me to help get this out to our community here in Prince William and Northern Virginia. And I understand you're an Air Force veteran, is that right?
I am. I'm an Air Force veteran married to a retired Air Force Chief Master Sergeant, so I'm 100% vested in your goals for this show.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I was a little bit Air Force, so you may know I was Army, Army National Guard, and then Air Force Reserve at the end. And I was really excited about crossing over to the Air Force because I was told that I would go to a green to blue program, Army to Air Force program. And what that really ended up being was golf camp. So it was a fabulous time moving into the Air Force. I'm sure you're great at your golf game for being in the Air Force for all those years.
Yes. No, my golf game isn't that great, but I am the president of the Golf Widows Association, darling. So that's all of us who stand by and wait for our husbands to get off the golf course. So it's our inside joke. But I like the little banter you made about us because, I think that's what unites us. I love when I travel and I'm in the line at the airport and somebody behind me, a Navy guy or an Army, and we just always have that joke between us. But we're all one big family, and that's what's just great about being military.
Yeah, we absolutely are.
So you know what? I was excited about the notion of coming here, and I was looking at some of the literature you gave me. But then I wanted to wait until I got here so that the public could hear as well. I understand the concept of your show. What exactly is the vision? What do you hope to bring awareness to?
Yeah, so I was had a lot of ideas around what to model this show after, and I really like Between Two Ferns. So Between Two Ferns is like a public access comedy show with Zach Kakalaki, I can never remember his last name, and it's focused, it's really, it's almost kind of serious and focused on, how to help the person that he's interviewing and go forward. It's actually not at all, but I like the format and I like the comedy behind that, though I'm not going to be throwing insults at my guests because then I'd never get them back again. But yeah, I was looking at different shows to model, and in all seriousness, I was looking and listening to Joe Rogan, Ellen DeGeneres, Oprah, and Johnny Carson. I liked all of their qualities and what they bring to a show, and that's kind of my mix of how I want this one to come off.
Oh, I can relate to that a little bit. I can do Oprah's hair, and I think I can do Ellen's dance. So
there you go.
I'm looking forward to seeing who comes on your show and kind of mirrors those two personalities.
Yeah, I was really with the Joe Rogan. He's a podcast, so he's trendy and interesting, and have some just fabulous characters on his shows and personalities and business people, and I really liked what he brought with the trendy piece. And Ellen DeGeneres, she's so kind and so funny, just out and out hilarious. I love that aspect of her and what she does with her show. And of course, Johnny Carson, one of my parents' favorites, just all around charming and very sincere, and try to bring that into the mix. And of course Oprah, she's that solution-driven force, and I really want us to be that here for the community with this show, solution-driven, and how can we come together and help one another to make things happen for our veterans.
So I'm hearing about the celebrities that you're kind of shadowing when you think about the concept of the show. Can you give me a couple examples of the people that'll be on?
Well,
industry?
The show overall is going to be solution-oriented, but the people we bring on the show will be highlighting their programs, and it's all going to be about a veteran's quality of life. For example, the overall solution that we're going to be looking for will be around veteran transportation. And I'm not going to be talking a lot about that with our guests that come on, but I want the community to start thinking about how we get our veterans to doctor's appointments, how do we get our veterans to some of these great programs that are out there, how do we get our veterans to the grocery store, There are so many gaps in transportation needs for our veterans, and having been with Novaveterans nonprofit for many years, I realized this over the past few years that we have some great organizations providing transportation, but they're not all completely consistent and reliable. Some are volunteer run, and volunteers are great, but many times we have last minute needs, and there's a lot of things going on. So the overarching piece will be a challenge, like transportation. But the guest, the one-on-one piece, will be all about these great programs that these veteran-centric organizations have in our community, like one of our first guests will be the Workhouse for the Arts, the veterans initiatives they have. And we're going to talk about all the things they do there and have some fabulous guests on to describe what they do with regards to the arts and supporting their veterans in our community.
Okay, so I'm aware of a couple of other organizations that do great things. There's guitar therapy at the Hilton Performing Arts, and I also became aware that our local chamber member is part of a singing group that just came off of a TV show.
Caleb Green.
Yes.
Yeah, Caleb Green, love him.
Yeah, so what was great about that is when I heard their little narrative, and they talked about this was a result of PTSD. That's how they began singing. And it certainly sounds like this is one of the type of shows that where we can bring some awareness to that, and you'll see people on here talking about things like that, because just to hear those singers talk about mental health and how they felt and how singing really helped them cope with what happened.
Right, yeah. One of the big shifts in this program is that not to diminish the challenges that veterans have, like PTSD and depression and other things going on in their lives. We understand that some veterans go through this. This show will not be focused on that at all. We're going to be focused on the things that makes veterans feel better, that lifts their spirits, that gets them out of that place of depression and gets them focused on the guitar lessons with Hilton Performing Arts Center, or gets them focused on forging a knife at the Workhouse Center for the Arts, or gets them out fly fishing or rock climbing or wheelchair rugby. There are so many great and sometimes really outrageously fun things to do for veterans. Our focus is going to be on what makes you feel better. It's that quality of life. We know all these other things are going on, but we're not going to focus on those. We're going to focus on all the good stuff.
Right. So you're taking a switch from the academic preparation for veterans and mental health courses and traditional workforce development things, and saying, let's just take a step back and look at how can we help them relax and re-engage in other ways. And mental health is so important for our veterans as well as anyone that's been in stressful situations.
Sure.
I watch a lot of TV, but I don't think I've heard of a show like yours. Do you know if this is groundbreaking?
I think it is, especially for our area. I know that there are shows focused on veterans in our area, and I know there are a ton of programs for our veterans, but bringing them together to get the information out there and outreaching to let our veterans know that they're here is one of the big pieces, and also letting our veterans know how to get to these organizations and businesses that put on these programs. A lot of times veterans could be limited in their transportation. They may not have their own vehicle, they may be too old to drive, they may have limitations to where they can't drive. So we not only want to let them know about these great programs, we want to help them get to these programs. So we're going to, as a community, solve this issue. We're going to start here in Prince William, and we're going to just keep growing it outwards.
And do you foresee this being your first show about just one initiative and the possibility of it branching into something else?
Yeah, well, the show's always going to be solution-driven.
Okay.
And we're always going to focus on the fun, the fitness, arts, and recreation. We're always going to focus on these types of things and what's around. But as soon as we solve this transportation issue, we're going to be moving on to another one. And I know we will solve that. I know there's a lot of great programs. We just got to come together and figure out a reliable, consistent way to do this. So, yes.
I like the fact that you want this to be unique and something that's not being articulated in this manner, and that you want to keep your show really light and friendly, because certainly when we say vets, we tend to get really serious and stern and think about the negative stigmatism with it. And for the most part, we as veterans and military, we like people to know that, you know, it's much more than that. And if everybody remembers the importance of what it takes to leave the force and then live another life, I think that we could do more. And just your show being so lighthearted and friendly and welcoming, I think that's a step in the right direction.
I hope so. I think so. I think so. I think that's why we're coming together, and I have such a great response. People already coming and saying, oh, I have this great program, we want to bring it to your show. And I do have a blog spot where people can, you know, come and list what their show is. It's drangemak.blogspot.com. So if you have a program, please list it there. If you have ideas around transportation, there's a blog started for that as well. And I really want to make this a forum for our community to be able to come together and work on these solutions and bring these great programs, you know, out into the community. And speaking of great programs, you have a nonprofit as well called Higher Ground that I understand is doing some fabulously great things for our high schoolers. Tell me a little bit about that.
So Higher Ground is, and it's HIRE, is a nonprofit that really mirrors what I do for my professional job. So I am a leadership development and HR consultant, and basically I've taken my Air Force training, skills, and education and transferred it over to a profit, which is Professionals by Design, and Higher Ground. Higher Ground does exactly the same things for kids in high school, and we really try to focus on the kids that don't seem as though they are ready to go to college. And this is mainly by their grades or for the fact they've said, I don't want to go to college and I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So we go in and we do a 6-part series, and we kind of help them with their professional development. We do a DISC profile for them, as well as what do you think you want to do, how does that look, and how to accept feedback from others. And then we send them out there to a career fair, or we bring one to the school.
That sounds like a great program, because I know a lot of high schoolers, they may not be wanting to go down that college track, or maybe not right now, and there are so many other options. I know I have 2 high schoolers that are now in college, and you know, as soon as they are in middle school, they're talking about what's going to be your college track. So that may not be for every high schooler. They may want to do other things and have other ideas and other passions. So I love that you're bringing these options out too, and you're in Prince William and the other counties around Virginia?
Yes, and we're actually doing the program in D.C. in February, but this will be the second time at that high school. But we've had some real successes. It's only been 3 years, but we have literally taught workshops for almost 700 kids, and it's word of mouth.
Yes.
And there's only about 15 to 20 kids per workshop, but as soon as they leave, they go out and tell another group of kids, you got to go to this workshop.
Okay,
so,
okay.
Looking forward to doing more.
Yes, and if someone wanted to get a hold of you, if a high school wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you to find out how to get you into their high school and talking to their kids there?
Sure.
Young adults, I should say, yeah.
Yes, our website is highergroundworks.com, and my email is jmonroe@probydesign.com. So easy to find me. Just Google Higher Ground Works, and we will reach out to them.
And Pro by Design, the by is B-I, design, right? Not B-Y.
It is. Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah.
Yes,
all right. Well, very good. Very good. Well, these are some wonderful things that you're doing, Jinnae, and I know the skills that you learned in the military and the education you got when you were in transfers into a lot of the things you do and the passion that you have going forward. You mentioned that one of the things that you love to do is Ellen DeGeneres' dance. So I'm kind of thinking that you're going to show us what that looks like, at least a chair dance. Are you going to like demo this? Because I'm not familiar with it. I saw her stand up, but it was more of a, you know, she was really getting her groove on in that one.
Yes.
So,
you know what? I'm going to ask you to invite me back when I don't have on my glitter dress.
But that's not your dance.
And,
no.
And I'll do that dance for you. Absolutely.
All right. We'll have to do that.
So for your show, before you start having guests, what would you like the community to know about it?
I want the community to understand that we want this to be a very entertaining, a fun, and engaging program. There are so many great things out there to share. And 2, we want the community to come together and go to drangeMack.blogspot and really share what they're doing and some of the ideas that they've had around transportation, because that's our overarching topic of focus right now. And just help me help you spread the word and get this information out to our veterans, because one of the hardest, most challenging pieces of having these great programs is outreaching to the veterans to let them know that it's here for them.
Right.
I mean, some don't even cost anything. They can just need to sign up and get there and learn guitar or ukulele or painting. There's even date nights out there for veterans. There's like so many different things we can take advantage of, and just help us spread the word either by sharing this video, which will be on Comcast Channel 2 and also on Dr. Ange Mack YouTube as well, sharing this video and getting that out there, and yeah, just help me spread the word.
Well, I think there are people out there that are really concerned about where we are and making sure we support veterans in the most healthiest way. And not name dropping, but you have Micron. I've gone out there and spoke to their veterans group as well as their leadership group about how they can better support their veteran employees. And Girani's Coffee Shop is hosting an elderly night out. And those are places where I think if we can try to make a good mix of those so that we can find transportation to make sure people get to events like that.
Exactly.
And that sounds like what you want to do. So I don't know how OmniRide could help, but I'm throwing that name out there because I know they're great
they
community.
They have rights to wellness. They have things. So we have a lot of great programs. We just have to get a consistent way to bring it all together and make it work efficiently. I'm all about efficiency and being effective and going forward and getting our veterans, what they've earned and what they deserve, and let's make this work for them. But I just want to say, Jinnae Monroe, thank you so much for coming on our show. Thank you for sharing your Professional by Design and your Higher Ground program. It sounds like some great initiatives that you're doing for our community and our young adults in the community. I hope to have you back in the future, and I appreciate you helping me introduce and co-host this show with me.
Looking forward to seeing great things from you, Dr. Mack.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us here. I'm Ange Mack, and until next time, enjoy your freedom to blog.